Welcome, friends. Good day to everyone listening, watching. I want to thank you for your patience for the past weeks. I know I have been gone for a while, but so much has been happening in my family, with my mother being ill, my daughter falling sick recently for the past 2 to 3 weeks, that I was overwhelmed. It's coming from the US to take care of my mother and coming right back to attend to my daughter who suddenly fell ill. But thank God this has all been taken care of. So now it's a little less stressful. I'm able to come back to you. So I thank you for your patience, and I hope you're going to stick with me for a little while. So here today, what I'm going to do, I will be preparing a lentil dish. It's more like a stewed lentil with some vegetables, right? Trying to cut back on the meat, especially now since my husband has been recently diagnosed with hypertension. So I'm trying to cut back on the meat, cut back on the salt a bit, and try to do more vegetables. So this is what I'm doing here now. And as usual, I'm starting with onion, stir frying the onion. Now I have here some pumpkin, some carrots, some red peppers, some garlic, some ginger, some black pepper, and some dry seasonings, right? But I'm going to start with the pumpkin after the onion, because the pumpkin takes longer to cook than the other vegetables. Okay, so to the onions I'm going to add the pumpkin. Now this is, I don't follow recipes. I basically just prepare it and go according to what I feel. So I'm going to do my pumpkin. That might be about a cup and a half of chopped pumpkin. You can use any amount you want. This is a recipe that can be adjusted. Like for the lentils here, I have about a cup and a half of dried lentils that I have already cooked. Sorry, I didn't mention that in the beginning. So yeah. So to the pumpkin, we're going to allow the pumpkin to saute for a few minutes. Let's allow it to get tender. The carrots as well, because it's on the pumpkin, it takes about the same amount of time to cook. So I'm going to allow that, put that in there as well. Saute for a few minutes, about a minute or two. Allow it to simmer until it's just tender. Okay? So we're going to cover that a little bit and allow it to saute for a few seconds. Okay, so just checking it out. As remember, that's the carrots and the pumpkin. Now, if you find that it is taking too long to get soft or to cook up, all you can do is add a little water. It will create steam, and you cover and allow it to simmer a bit. So it is tender. I'm going to now add in the garlic. I will add a little more oil here. Remember, I am not following any recipe in particular. I'm just cooking according to my mind. And this is how generally Caribbean people cook. We don't cook according to recipes per se. Sometimes, but we adjust. And it's the same thing. Those recipes are easily adjustable. No right or wrong way. Sometimes it's just about common sense, knowing when to add the onions, knowing when to add the garlic, because you don't want the garlic to burn. Yeah. But here I added the garlic at this point. But you could have also add the garlic together with the onion. Just about a minute after you add the onion, you could have added the garlic. You can add the garlic. Yeah. But being careful not to allow it to burn. And some ginger for flavor. Vegetarian cooking, most of the flavor comes from your herbs and your spices. This is perfect as a vegetarian dish, especially vegans. Any vegan can eat this meal. Can eat this, right? So I use coconut oil. That's the Caribbean coconut oil. To add some thyme. Be free to add whatever herbs and spices that you want. I'm going to add in some turmeric, always turmeric. If you have been following my channel, you would know that I always use turmeric in my cooking. Add a little water here to allow it to simmer. Let me tell you, I would make that dish again and I would make it completely different. Well, just a few, but so that's just to show you how anything, those recipes can be done any way that you like. Okay? But it's gonna be tasty for sure. Some basil. Now your dried herbs, it is always best to fry your dried herbs or to saute it in the oils, right? You know why? It is because when you fry it or you saute it in the oil, it extracts all the oil and the flavors from the herbs. So if you put it straight into a soup, you will not get the same flavor as when you put it you fry it in the oil before you put in whatever it is that you're doing, whatever other seasoning. So it's always a good thing to allow your herbs and your dried herbs to fry in the oil before you continue. Okay, when I prepare another dish, I will show you exactly how it's done. And this here is salt-free dried seasoning. I have to go easy on the salt now because my husband is hypertensive, as I indicated before. So I have to go easy on it. Use Himalayan pink salt, either that or Celtic salt. These are some of the better salts when you are watching your salt intake. This is one of the better salts, or the Celtic salt. Some people say Celtic, it is spelled C-E-L-T-I-C. Celtic salt. So to this I'm going to add the pre-cooked lentils. And just allow it to simmer. That's one of the easiest ways of adding flavor to your otherwise dull, tasteless lentils. Okay, you fry it, you stew it, stewed lentils. That's one of the ways to add nourishment and flavor to it. Now, if you wanted to make a meal out of this, all you would have to do is add potatoes. You would add the potatoes closer to the beginning and allow it to get tender, just like we did the pumpkin and the carrots and the herbs and stuff, and then you will add the peas and add some water, allow it to simmer, and then you will have a perfectly tasty, very vegetarian meal or a soup, right? Most Caribbean people, most of my Caribbean friends would know exactly what I'm talking about because we make lentil soup most of the time. In St. Lucia, we say lentil bouillon. Bouillon means all together, right? So we would have a bouillon where you'd have vegetables, carrots, everything you could think of. But for this one, it's just a stewed lentils. Okay, and to this I will add some black pepper, a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of salt, okay. You taste as you go. So you're going to allow this to simmer for a few minutes until the flavors have infused and until it's, you know, creamy. I think this pot that I used for this amount may have been a little small, but it's still good. I could still add some water to it. Just a little more water. And allow it to stew, to simmer, and you're good. So guys, could you imagine my gas finished and I had to rush down the road to refill the cylinder? So back to cooking. It's later than I expected, but it is what it is. Are you seeing this? The aroma smells lovely. Now the lentils, I think I allowed the lentils to cook a little too much, so it's a little softer than I would usually allow it to be. So when you are boiling the lentils, you could do it less, cook it for less time, because this, when you put it to simmer after adding it to the herbs and spices and stuff, it's gonna cook again. So yeah, so this is it. Really looks good. And I know it's tasty. See how rich this is? Nice. This is our nicely stewed lentils. So rich, so flavorful, so tasty. It's been served with some leftover chow mein cooked with some greens. And some dashing. Oh boy, this thing is so good.